in Alexandra Mayers' book review and author commentary. Killing Willis, a partial reading and commentary of Chapter 3, along with thoughts on the author. We're going to resurrect Willis just a little bit. All right, Chapter 3, Sky's the Limit. My dream of being on TV was quickly becoming a reality. One of the biggest national commercials I got was for this brand of margarine called Parquet. They had a famous ad campaign in the late 70s and all through the 80s with a talking tub of Parquet. Do y'all remember that? I remember that.
For better buttery taste, it's Parquet. What did you expect?
I was in one of their earliest commercials. I can still remember it. There was a white kid with glasses, and then there was me. And we were sitting next to each other with this container of Parquet in front of us. The lid on the Parquet tub lifted, and this voice said, "Parquet." "Did you say that?" I asked the other kid. "I didn't say that," the other kid said. "Yes, you did," I said. I always booked a lot of commercials. After that, I did a couple of McDonald's commercials. I did milk commercials. I did Manwich commercials. I would say I've probably done 40 or 50 commercials in my lifetime, if not more. Even if it was only one line, I was always glad to be working. I was very proud of the fact that I had a job and that I was good at it. I understood that I got paid well for the commercials, but money wasn't a big deal to me because my parents were already middle class and I already had everything I wanted and needed. My increasing success didn't change our lifestyle at all. My mom put my money away for me, and she was very careful to make sure I didn't get spoiled or think I was better than my siblings or the other neighborhood kids because of it. He had a good mom. He definitely, as far as her making sure that he didn't squander his money. There were some other things, but still, she definitely tried. It definitely wasn't just a job to me, though. I loved acting. I loved the whole experience of going to the set and collaborating with everyone else on the job. And I loved not having to be at school dealing with racism and bullies. And if you decide to buy this book, it's available on Amazon. I encourage everyone to buy this book, actually, because it gives you a good introspective when it comes to what a lot of African American actors who are around my age in their 40s went through when they were younger and coming up. Because there's quite a bit of racism in Hollywood. A lot of people don't think that there is. They're like, oh, that's a liberal industry. Nothing is more racist than the entertainment industry. I would say the most racist sect of the entertainment industry would be the adult entertainment industry. But mainstream Hollywood's very racist also. The music industry is pretty racist too. Once my commercial career was rolling, I started doing a lot of movies of the week. And then in 1975, I booked my first role on a television show. It was an episode of Barney Miller. I played a kid called Truman Jackson, and I held up Mr. Miller in the elevator and pointed a stick. They put me in jail with the real criminals to teach me a lesson, which is ironic given how my life later turned out. Some things we just have to learn firsthand. I was only on one episode of Barney Miller, but one of the show's executive producers, Danny Arnold, decided that I had talent and he was going to help me. I can remember him pulling me aside after I was done shooting the episode. "I want you to be on a TV show," he said, "and I'm going to find it." I did a pilot called The Orphan and the Dude in 1975. I remember I was so excited when I found out that I got the part. And the whole time that we were shooting, I couldn't believe I was going to have a regular part on a TV show. But my excitement was short-lived. The pilot aired, but the show never got picked up. That same year, I was cast in one of many TV movies I did as a child. It was called The Radical, and it starred Sissy Spacek and Henry Winkler. Sissy Spacek played this privileged young woman, or Spacek, I'm sorry, played this privileged young woman who started fighting for social justice and got caught up with this whole radical scene. I had only a small part, but it was great to work with such established actors, and Sissy Spacek and Henry Winkler both treated me well. Almost all of the older, experienced actors I worked with over the years were really great to me. They were patient and kind, and I had the chance to learn so much just by watching them. And a part of the reason for that is because this particular guy is incredibly talented. I don't think a lot of people give him his due. Todd Bridges has a near photographic memory, and he probably could have easily gone into the sciences just as easily as he went into the entertainment industry. His mother actually was the one who got him into the entertainment industry because she was in the entertainment industry, along with being in the banking system. And you can learn about that if you look at my previous 2 videos focusing on this particular book. I'll have to make a playlist for this book at some point. All right, so he's talking about how everyone was good to him, and then he goes on. There always has to be an exception, though. In 1976, I got a job on a commercial that had a bicentennial theme. The basic setup was that there was a kid playing a drum, a kid playing a flute, and a kid carrying a flag, like that famous image of the fife and drums corps from the Revolutionary War. I can't remember for sure anymore, but I think I was playing the drum. The commercial star was Henry Fonda, who was a legend. His career had included everything from The Grapes of Wrath, which earned him an Academy Award nomination, to How the West Was Won. He was also Jane and Peter Fonda's dad. Well, we shot the commercial up by where the Magic Mountain amusement park used to be. And the hill we were told to walk down was really steep and rough. There were holes everywhere and cow patties too. We were doing our best, but we kept stumbling and falling. Henry Fonda was walking behind us, delivering his lines about bicentennial. But the director kept making him stop because one of us kids would mess up or fall down, and we'd have to start all over again. Finally, Henry Fonda had enough. He turned around and lost it on us. "You MFing kids," he said. "God damn you, get this shit right. I don't want to be here all effing day." Then he stormed off. We were little kids and we were terrified, so we all started to cry. Our parents got really mad when they saw how upset we were, and they told the producers they were going to take us home unless he came back and apologized. The set was really tense while we waited to see what would happen. But finally, he came back out and walked over to where we were waiting with our parents. "Sorry," he said. "Sorry." We were still scared of him, but we managed to get through the commercial after that. I was sure glad when that job was over. Henry Fonda was not a nice man. No matter what kind of a day he was having, or how far this commercial was from the films he did at the height of his career, he should not have cussed at kids. Very true, very true. But should kids be put in such a situation to where they're dealing with adults who 9 out of 10 times are not going to be mentally stable? Because truth be told, you cannot be an actor or actress and really be sane. You can't. A lot of people would disagree with me on that. Experiences like that were rare though, and I truly loved everything else I did. I was living my dream, and I could not have been happier. It didn't matter to me if I was doing a commercial or a bigger part. I liked them all. Looking back, I would have to say that one of the most important moments of my acting career came early on when I was hired for a part in the adaptation of Alex Haley's Roots, which aired in 1977. I was 11 years old at the time, and it was a really special experience to find myself working with all those gifted Black actors, such as LeVar Burton, Cicely Tyson, John Amos, George Stanford Brown, and Louis Gossett Jr. I was used to being one of the only Blacks on the set, if not the only Black on the set. And so it felt amazing to be around all that Black talent while working together on a project that celebrated where we all had come from as a people. The role of Bud was actually one of my biggest challenges as an actor too, because the way that my character spoke was completely foreign to me. My mother had to teach me how to speak poorly in order to play that part. I got to stretch myself as an actor, and the shoot was a really positive experience all around. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that for the movie Roots, rather than white Hollywood, because that is who put it out, white Hollywood, hiring a Black actor or Black child who pretty much naturally would speak the way that a child in those times would speak. Rather than doing that, they hired him, who came from an upper middle class background. But there's a reason why, and that happened to not just child Black actors, but adult Black actors. A lot of the adult Black actors, and even today, when I think about it, there's quite a few rappers who present themselves as being like, I'm bad, gangster rappers who are from the suburbs, who, when they're not on camera or, displaying their persona, don't sound ghetto at all. But it's always been that way when it comes to the entertainment industry. Of course, we didn't know what a huge cultural phenomenon Roots was going to be until it aired. It was a different time back then, and it was hard for us to imagine that a miniseries about Black people and their experience would even find an audience, let alone be one of the highest rated miniseries in TV history. I didn't even really know what slavery was until I did Roots. We weren't taught about it in school. This was long before Black History Month and Barack Obama. Blacks and Black culture weren't visible in the same way they are today. And this wasn't that long ago. Todd Bridges is, I'm not sure how old he is. I think he's about a decade older than me. I think he's about in his 50s, maybe his early 60s. You know what, let's look it up, because I'm not sure. He's 55. Okay, 55. He was born in the mid-60s. All right, it was a different time back then, and it was hard for us to imagine that a miniseries about Black people and their experience would even find an audience, let alone be one of the highest rated miniseries in TV history. I didn't even really know what slavery was until I did Roots. We weren't taught about it in school. This was long before Black History Month and Barack Obama. Blacks and Black culture weren't visible in the same way they are today. Growing up, I never thought history contained any Black heroes. It wasn't until I was older that I learned how much Black Americans have done for our country. And not just in areas such as music and sports, where they receive a lot of recognition now. Blacks have contributed to our culture in so many ways that have transformed how we live. Even with, it was hard not to feel like being Black was a bad thing, especially with all of the racists I encountered, making me think that it was. Roots had a major impact when it aired, and I definitely think it helped me to gain recognition as an actor. But it didn't change the fact that blacks were still a minority in Hollywood, just like they were everywhere else. I was still one of the only black actors on most of the shows I was doing at the time. I was among the first, if not the first, blacks on Little House in the Prairie. And that clip just recently went viral. You know what? I'm going to play the clip for y'all.
Now, last week I had you write an essay about the things that you liked the most. This week I thought it might be fun if we wrote an essay about the things that we disliked the most. Solomon?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you think of something that you dislike?
Being a nigga. How do you mean nothing bad? The teacher asked a question and I just answered it.
Well, why'd you say it?
'Cause it's the truth. If and I was white, my pa'd still be alive. Being a nigga killed my pa. You answer me something, sir.
If I can.
Would you like to live to be 100?
Yeah, sure, I would. It's not very likely, but I guess all of us like to live to a ripe old age.
Would you rather be black and live to be 100, or white and live to be 50?
What a question. Would you rather be black and live to be 100 or white and live to be 50 in those times? Yeah, I mean, Todd Bridges, he's had an amazing career. He's played some very notable parts, but that was a really interesting role. And I always liked Michael Landon. Michael Landon was a very good actor. All right. I was among the first, if not the first, blacks on Little House on the Prairie. That was a great show to do. Michael Landon was one of the nicest people I ever worked with, and he treated me with the utmost respect. But there was always this feeling of being different. I was among the first blacks on the Waltons too. And even though I went on to be a recurring character, that feeling of not quite fitting in stayed with me. And I can relate to that, having grown up in an all-white neighborhood until I was 14. Basically, when you're in that kind of a situation, you become comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's not good. That's not good. I don't think any parent should put their child in that kind of a situation to where like they're the only one. I think that some parents do because they grow up in a situation to where they're one of many, and then when they're singled out, they feel special, so they anticipate that their child will feel the same way, but that's often not the case. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Again, I recommend people buy this book. Chapter 3 is a pretty good chapter. I'd already read through it myself before I read it to y'all, but he goes into a lot of what he went through in his youth in Hollywood. A lot of bad things happened to him, but it's worth the read. Worth the read. Pick up the book. Amazon.com. You don't even have to go to the store. You can just download it. So anyway, that's about it. I'm going to look at the chat now and then I'm going to get going.